starting to warm up here in Atlanta. This is Walk the Flip on the REI USA platform. My name is Carson Olinger. I appreciate you joining us. If you're live, that's awesome. By the way, next month, we're going to be turning this not only into a webinar, but also a live meeting. So everyone will be able to have their own video up and interact as a normal Zoom meeting. So we're going to make it a little bit more active. We're starting to wrap up the first Walk the Flip process. So we're going to kind of start the process over again for those that are just getting started. As you know, REI USA, they archive all of the videos for 90 days. So if you're just getting on the platform, you can go back in 90 days and look and see what we've done over this time. Beyond that, you're not going to be able to see it. So what we're going to do is every 10 to 12 months, as we wrap these up, we're going to start the process over again so that you can get in from the beginning and walk forward. We've got some people that are joining us live. Some people kind of come in late. So I'm going to talk just a minute about who I am, give you my contact information, and then we'll go ahead and get started on Walk the Flip. So once again, this is Carson Olinger. My direct line is 678-478-2230. You can reach me directly via email at carson@capcityeg.com. That's capcityeg.com. A lot of people say, why do you give out your personal cell number and your personal email number? Well, the reason is because I'm a personable guy. All kidding aside, however, I've got to this point because of people in the real estate community that have helped me. And I could not have been where I am today without the help, support, leadership, and guidance and education of all the people that I've surrounded myself with. I'm a huge proponent of real estate investment associations, whether they be virtual like this platform or in person. So as much as I've gained an experience from other people that have helped me grow, I want to do the same for you. So when Stacy came to me a little over a year ago and said, hey, I'd like to consider you for a national coach on this platform, I was very excited because it allows me an opportunity to help people that are trying to get into the market, the real estate market, that is, as people are trying to understand a certain niche within that market. So with all those being said, I really enjoy the opportunity, and I want you to be able to reach out to me if there's any concerns, questions, guidance you might need. I'm more than willing to help. And honestly, what a lot of people need to do, and they don't recognize it, is they need to partner. They need to joint venture on deals. There's value in finding opportunities. There's value in bringing a deal to the table, even if you have no money. I've said many times on this program and others that I've transacted hundreds of deals, millions of dollars worth of transactions, and I've never used a single penny of my own money other than marketing. Now, some of those are wholesaling, so obviously you don't need to use money to do that. You're just moving paper, but I've flipped multiple homes, I mean, countless homes. I'm sure I could count them if I wanted to, but a lot of homes is what I'm saying. And then also I own, we're getting ready to close on another mobile home park. So we've transacted a whole bunch of deals there too. So we're going to own about 85 properties before the end of April. And with all that being said, you can do this too. So if you don't have money, it's not necessarily a barrier to entry. You can bring value to the table in other ways. So I can help you flip a property. I can help you wholesale a property if you bring the property, and then the deal itself will help make you money. So as people are joining on here, once again, this is Carson Olinger. I'm here in the North Metro area of Atlanta in a town called Suwanee, which is basically a suburb of Atlanta Metro in the Northeast. And we kind of focus most of our opportunities in this area and a little bit further north. We do get into the city from time to time, but primarily we're up the 85 corridor in the Gwinnett County, Hall County, and north areas. As I said, my number is 678-478-2230. My email is carson@capcityeg.com. If you need to reach us online, if you want to be on our buyers list and be part of our network, please go to www.capcityeg.com. eg.com. You can put your information into our investor field, and you'll be on our correspondence list for not only wholesale deals, but opportunities to learn outside of this platform. I also own and operate a in-person real estate investment association, that is, called North Point REIA. You can also follow North Point REIA on Facebook, just like you can Capital City Equity Group, or you can follow me, Carson Olinger. Matter of fact, our North Point REIA meets here in Norcross, right off of 85 and Beaver Ruin Road. If you go to our Facebook page at North Point REIA, you'll see that we meet on the last Wednesday of every month, and we meet from 6 to 9:30 p.m. And it's Atlanta's only educational REIA that I'm aware of, where we bring people in to teach you how to do real estate, every aspect of it, from being an attorney, what the attorneys have to deal with, what you need to bring to the attorney to make it successful, pitfalls there. That's what we had last month. This month, we've got actually another REI USA member here. He's a coach. His name is Richard Monroe. He is a local real estate investor, but specializes in short-term rentals like the Airbnb market. He's an expert in that field, and he'll be our speaker this month, which is actually this Wednesday in 2 days. So I would encourage you to come out. It's over at Zona Caribbean in Norcross from 6 to 9:30. So what we're going to do here today, I got a little something in my throat, excuse me, is we're going to kind of dovetail everything that we've worked on so far with Walk the Flip from the beginning all the way to the end. We're going to summarize it. And then we're going to open this thing up to talk, because what I find is I can sit here and bloviate and talk and teach and all these things. But if you've got questions and I don't get to that point, then you're kind of getting lost. And I don't want that. So we're going to leave time for you to ask questions. So I'm going to let you open up your microphone. You can ask questions directly of me. Even if they're somewhat off topic, this is a good platform to do it. It's a little bit more intimate. We've got usually anywhere from 2 to 20 people in here. So just depends on the day. Then obviously it's archived for you guys to look at. So I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us. I see we've got several people online now. So Walk the Flip is basically a online tutorial, if you will, of how to go from buying your first property, or even if it's your 20th property, how to get better at flipping a home. So when we walk the flip, we're literally walking through the process of how to flip a home. Everything from targeting a property, financing a property, identifying a property, contract negotiations, scoping out the work, working on the scope of work with your contractors, lining up the contractors or GC, following through each step of the process so that at the end, you know kind of what to look for. You know how to cost these things out. A little more to it than just the cursory overview. We can dive into some of the specifics. And then as we get to the end, the things to look for before you put it on the market, how to put it on the market, to how to use a real estate agent if need be, how to market the property, and how to stage the property if need be. So, and then when you get into the contract negotiations with the buyer, what you need to be doing there as well. And part of that's understanding your market. So we've gone through almost all of those things already in the monthly series prior to this. So we're kind of towards the end. So if you're just coming in now, it's quite all right. We can go back 90 days into the REI USA platform and look at the archives, and you can follow the last 3 months prior to this to kind of catch up. If we still need more, we can start the process over again, which we're going to do next month. And then we're also, I believe next month, we're going to combine my other real estate meeting I have at 10 a.m., which is our Georgia super group. So all of our Georgia investors that want to learn how to invest, they've kind of come on that line as well. And we're going to merge both of those into one meeting at 9 a.m. It's going to be a kind of a Walk the Flip Georgia super group concept. So we'll be addressing how to walk flips and how to do flips and how to get into real estate. So we're going to kind of touch on both of those things today. So let's jump right into it. We've got a hard stop at 10 o'clock. So a couple minutes prior to that, I'm going to probably shut down so I can refuel here and then get ready for my next one at 10 o'clock. So if you want to, you can come right back in at 10 o'clock on the Supergroup platform and follow us there and ask different questions there as well. So I'm going to open up everybody online here. So if there are questions, all you got to do is speak up. So right now you are all on mute. Your video doesn't work, so don't worry about that, but you're all on mute. If you have questions, just unmute yourself and jump right in. We're all adults, so we don't need to raise our hands. With that being the case, walking the flip is, let me also say this. We do walk the flip. If you live here in the Atlanta metro area, we also do this in person live, where we walk through an actual flip that we're doing. We'll take it to one of my flips. We'll go to a colleague's flip, and we'll spend about 2 hours on property, and it's free. And you can learn what we're doing in that flip. And we did one already at a property I'm involved with now, back in, I don't know, what was it, November, December, when we bought the property and we just started gutting the house out. It was a wreck. It was really stinky. And we're just about wrapped up with it. So what we're going to do is invite everybody back out to the flip as it wraps up, and before we put it on the market, probably here the middle of April, a couple of weeks from now. So we're going to have a walk the flip on location in one of my properties. So look out for that. If you're following us on Facebook or on this platform or whatever, we'll be marketing that as well. So we would encourage you to come out. You can ask questions. If you've been there before, it'll be a follow-up so you can see the before and after, and that's the beauty of it. So with that being the case, this process has been a little lengthy, but very informative. We've had a lot of great questions that have come out of this from all of the people that have been involved with it. So thank you. Please ask questions. You will not learn unless you ask questions. You got to get involved and ask questions. So as we walk the flip, we've gone through everything from acquiring the property, identifying the property, finding the money to buy the property, structuring the deal on the contract, looking over the contract. We've gone over all of these things today, so I can't do all of them again. I'm just kind of summarizing what we've done. We've gone through with ourselves to kind of get an idea what the budget would be on a cursory walkthrough. You kind of just get, we talked about doing buckets, like, hey, this bathroom is going to cost $5,000. This flooring is going to cost $12,000. The air conditioners are going to cost $10,000. So you're just kind of creating little buckets. They're not exact numbers, but they're just kind of buckets to give you an idea of what that rehab is going to cost, right? Because you need to understand what your rehab is going to be before you can make an offer. Because remember, you make your money, this is important, write this down, you make your money when you buy the house, okay? Because that's your starting point. So anything you spend beyond that is going to be your total cost of ownership, your TCO, by the time you sell it, right? And when you sell it, obviously you're going to sell it for more than you bought it, hopefully, and you're not going to run into any problems because you didn't miss out on stuff. So we're going to look for those pitfalls, but you make your money when you buy it. So understanding the rehab and what those costs are is important to allow you to make the offer. Okay, well, that goes whether you're wholesaling the deal or if you're flipping it yourself. The numbers are the same, because why? If you're wholesaling it, who are you selling it to? You're selling it to an investor like me, who's going to look at the numbers the same way we're analyzing them, so that when you market your property, they're going to be able to make a profit too. It's not going to be this garbage stuff. There's a lot of garbage wholesalers out there. Why? Because it's an easy entry point. There's a low barrier of entry to get into wholesaling. So there's a lot of people doing it. And most of them, honestly, don't know what they're doing. And they're putting in a lot of garbage product out there. So in any event, you have to understand how to rehab a property. So you need to know those costs. And then you need to work with your contractor or contractors to get that number dialed in, so you get actual quotes, so you know what your actual costs are, okay? And hopefully they're a little bit less than what you originally budgeted when you bought it. And then once you get all of them lined up, I like to use a general contractor as opposed to finding all my subs. That's really hard. So one GC, I got one point of contact. He does everything, brings in all the subs. Yeah, I pay a little bit more than that than somebody else might be doing their own thing, but I'm able to go and find other deals because I'm an investor. I'm not a general contractor. I don't want to get wrapped up in all the minutia of paying this guy. This guy didn't show up. I got to find another guy, getting that quote, getting this quote. I hire one guy. I pay him a fee to do that. He makes money. Yes, you can make the argument that I'm wasting money. Make it all day long. It works, and it works well because I'm an investor. I'm not a hammer swinger. I don't want to do that. So get in there and invest your money. Let the money work for you, not you work for the money. So once we get all that done, now we're starting the rehab, right? We've closed the deal with the attorney. We go and we start the rehab. And what are we doing in the first 30 days? We've gone over demo. We've gone over prep work. We've gone over, initial painting. We've gone over all those things, acquisition of materials, all that stuff. And then we get into the second 30 days and what we're doing in there. And then we fast forward all the way to the end. Now we're putting in all of our bells and whistles, all of our eye candy, right? The granite, the pretty plumbing fixtures, all the stuff that catches people's eyes and goes, ooh, ah, and they see all the neat things, but they don't see all the money behind the walls. So we want to put forth a quality product. We want to make sure whatever we do, our name is on it. So we're not cutting corners. If we need a permit, we're getting a permit. If we don't need a permit, we're still doing the job right. We're not cutting corners. We're putting insulation in walls. We're using the right pipes. We're using all our things because why? Our name is going on that and we want quality product, okay? Somebody's family is going to be living in that house. Do you want your family to live in a house that's falling apart just to make a couple extra bucks? I don't. If you do things right in this industry, any industry for that matter, if you do things right and you're honest, you've got integrity in what you do, then you will make money. The money will come. If you start cutting corners, you're going to wind up digging yourself your own grave. And I wouldn't suggest that. So we got through all the way to the end of this. Now we're basically at the end of our flip. Excuse me 1 second. We're basically at the end of our flip. And we've got all of our bells and whistles in, all of our granites in. We're kind of just bringing in the cleaning company, right? So don't skimp on the end. This is where a lot of people make mistakes. We've gone through 3-4 months of rehab, possibly on a cosmetic rehab, maybe longer if you had to do permits. Our budget's getting thin. We've gone through most of our money, and here we are at the end. And we're like, you know what? I'm going to put just a LED light in the ceiling. I'm not going to do that fancy chandelier. This is where people make mistakes. They look at something and go, man, that chandelier is $500. I could put this light in for $100. It's $400 I don't need to come up with. This is where people will lose their shirts. Don't stop. Now, don't be ridiculous about it either. Don't go crazy and put gold-plated stuff all over the place. That's not what I'm saying. But don't skimp at the end because you're thin on the budget. Even if you go over budget just a little bit, if you're doing it right, think about it. If I bought this house, am I going to notice this? And is it going to make a difference? If it does, then you need to invest the extra couple of bucks and do it right. I see so many times where people just start kind of getting to the end and like, oh, they're tightening the purse strings. It's a little tougher now. I don't want to spend any more money on it. But that extra couple of bucks is going to set your property away far and above than the rest of the properties on the street. And it's going to help you get a higher resale value. Okay, because people don't see what's behind the walls, right? They see what's in front of them. And when they see what's in front of them, if you're skimping on the little stuff, they're going to go, this is kind of cheap. What else did they cheap out on, right? And they're going to start having that kind of a mentality. Or if you didn't do something right, like you're trying to hide something like a cosmetic, paint job, or maybe there's a receptacle that's not done. The little things like that, people are going to notice it because it's right there in front of them. Okay, so don't skimp on that stuff. I see it too many times. But I'm not saying go out and spend another $10,000 on a light either. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if it's a couple extra bucks, $100, $200, $300, and it's worth doing, you're thinking to yourself, I'd much rather have that light, but really my finances are tight. If that's the reason, then do it. If you did the job right up to that point, it will pay off. It'll make the difference. Okay. So keep that in mind. So here we are at the end. We're getting all of our bells and whistles in. We're starting to think about marketing the property to sell it, right? So you can do that one of two ways. Right now here in Atlanta, and quite honestly, in most metro markets around the country, the real estate market is hot. It's March 2022. Pretty much it's a seller's market. You can't really deny that. So anything you put on the market, if it's decent, it's going to sell. So a lot of people say, well, I don't need a real estate agent. I don't need any of these people. I can do this myself. And you probably can. But is that what you want to be doing? Okay. There's a lot of great real estate agents out there that can help you. They have the ability to market in areas that you don't. They have access to people that you don't. What is your job? Your job is not to market the house. Your job is to flip the home. Once you get it to where it's ready, you just hire a contractor to do it. Hire an agent to do it. They've got the skills and they can handle all that stuff on the other side of that fence. I'll tell you, the first, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 homes I sold, I had that mentality. I said, you know what? I don't need an agent. I can do this myself. I did, but it was not easy. Why? Because it was skill sets that I didn't have. It was a job that somebody else could do much better than me. Okay. And if you find a good real estate agent, and keep in mind, there's horrible real estate agents out there, just like there's horrible investors, horrible wholesalers. Any market's got its good, its bad. Find a good real estate agent that knows your market. Like if you're on the lake, they need to understand lake houses, right? But if you're in the city, they need to understand that. Who's your demographic you're going to be selling to? Is it, you know, an executive of a company, or is it just a new family starting out in their first home? So who's your demographic? Is it a white collar professional? Is it a blue collar professional? What are they doing? Okay. What's your market? So understand that and figure out who you're going to be selling to. But I encourage you to find an agent that can do all this. And here's why. One, they can handle all the contracts because they're going to understand them better than you if they're good. Two, they're going to have access to buyers. Three, they're going to have the time to show the property instead of you having to go out there or you coordinating this time and that time and this time and that time. And then they're going to be able to negotiate on your behalf to get a better price for you. Because you'll start getting offers in this market of people coming in $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000 over asking price if you got a good property. And in doing so, you're going to, how do I know which deal is best? Well, this one's $30,000 more than this one. That doesn't mean it's best. So I hear this term all the time. We're accepting highest and best. Well, highest is not necessarily best. Okay. It should be highest or best, or highest and or best, because I've seen deals where, hey, I'm going to offer you $30,000 more, but I need $10,000 in closing costs. I've got to get the house to qualify. I've got to get me appraisal, and this is over appraisal, and I'm only putting down 3%. Well, if you're only putting down 3%, that tells me that you probably don't have a lot of excess cash to put down more. Is it an FHA loan versus a conventional loan? There's certain parameters there. All right. So you need to understand that thing. Also, this is important to remember if you're flipping something quick. If you're in the low end of the home prices, like under 380, FHA, first time home buyers, and you're trying to market to that group, keep in mind, you cannot even start the selling process on that house to a qualified FHA buyer unless you've owned the house for 90 days. Now, we flip some properties in 6-8 weeks, right? So when we do that, we're well within that 90-day mark. What that does is it eliminates all of those potential buyers in the FHA market because they can't even get the loan started with FHA until after that 90 days has gone by. So at day 91, then they can start their application process. So keep that in mind. It's not a big deal, but it is something to be aware of, right? So maybe you have to wait a little longer to get access to them, but there are enough buyers out there right now. You shouldn't have that problem. So with all that being said, an agent can help you kind of navigate those waters, right? They can help you navigate through there and find out what these people are looking for and how they're looking for, why this offer is better than that offer. I've had guys come in and they offered me less money, but they had the ability to close very quickly. And the difference between what they weren't asking for and what these other guys were asking for, actually, I came out ahead. And you have to be able to look at that and say, wow, it's not just, hey, I want 200 and this guy's offering me 230. He may be offering me 200, but he's going to be able to close in a week. He's not doing an appraisal. He's not doing an inspection. And now I'm done and I'm out. Okay. Or he might be paying his own agent. I'll tell you what, in this market, I've seen it where you can kick back to the buyer and say, you know what? I'm not paying your agent. What's the name of that agent? It's a buyer's agent. Well, you're the buyer. You pay your agent. The agents don't like that, right? Because that really throws things back on them. But the fact of the matter is, in this market, it's happening. And you could say to them, you know what? I'm not paying your agent. You pay your agent. So if I'm asking 230, I'm going to pay my agent 3%, but I'm not paying your agent 3%. That 3% is over and above what you're paying to me. That's coming out of your pocket. If you don't like it, I got 20 people behind you that are willing to buy my house. What do you want to do? It's that kind of market, right? So don't be afraid to push that. So as you get towards the end, you need to make sure you have all of these things lined up. Don't wait till the last minute. Start talking to your agent or an agent, about 30, 45 days before the house is ready to come on the market, so they can kind of get prepared and know what to look for. They can start doing a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis, which will look at the entire landscape, if you will, of houses around you, what's sold, what's on the market, and they'll give you a range of, hey, I know when you bought it, it was this, but the market shifted a little bit, and here's what it looks like today. So now you need to sell your house for this. I think we can get this, and here's why. So that's important to do. You don't need to do that in every house, so it may or may not be done. Your agent will let you know, but I strongly recommend getting an agent. So now that we're at that point, we start marketing the property, you're pulling back out of there. So now you've got this agent. Are you just going to sit back and watch them? No, you're going to move on to the next deal. That's the whole point of being an investor, right? You want to go to the next deal. You don't want to be tied up selling this house. Let him or her do that. Okay, that's their job. That's what you're paying them to do, right? So let them do their job. They'll call you and talk to you, and they'll handle all the interviews and the walkthroughs and the staging and the open houses. Let them do all that stuff. That's fine. They do that better than you. You're an investor. Go and invest. So at the end of this thing, you're going to have it all done. Now, always remember, there's a tax implication on a flip. Okay. I'm not an accountant, so I can't give you percentages. I can't give you anything like that because I am not an accountant. You need to have a good accountant on your team. When you flip a house, you will be hit at the end of the year, tax year, like this is 2022. So anything I flipped in 2021, I now have to pay taxes in 2022 by 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, right? April 15th. So your capital gains on a short-term a short-term flip are going to be considerable. If you made $100,000 on that property, don't just go out and spend that $100,000. You need to put some of that money away in an account so that when it comes time to pay taxes, it's accessible to you. Okay. I have a checking account in my business and a savings account. All my money that I save for taxes goes into that savings account. I don't touch it. If I flip a home, my taxes are like 34% on capital gains. Maybe more this year, I'm not sure, but in any event, I get $100,000 check from the flip. I take 34,000, goes right to the savings account. Done. Now I don't got to worry about it. So now when it comes tax time, I'm not freaking out. Oh my gosh, I got $30,000, $40,000 in taxes. Where's that coming from? You'll have to pay capital gains. It's part of the business. You're not going to be able to avoid it unless you do a 1039 exchange, which you can do. It's a whole nother topic altogether. That's taking your profits, rolling them into another flip. So that's if you didn't need them to live off of. I need that money to operate, so I'm paying the capital gains. It's part of doing business. Just factor that in, but remember it because it's going to make a difference in your taxes and your income. Okay, capital gains are a reality. You got to deal with it, but talk to an accountant to get the lay of that land. I'm not an accountant. I'm not saying 34% is what you have to do. What I'm saying is there's an implication. There could be more, it could be less, depending on your tax bracket. And I don't know what your tax bracket is. Okay, so we've now got the house flipped. It's being sold. We're moving on to another deal. And we're starting this whole process over again. The idea here is that you're going to be able to run your business and have 2 and 3 and 4 of these deals going on at the same time. Why? Because you got a general contractor flipping your house. You got a real estate agent selling your house. You've got a lead generation specialist bringing leads in for you. This is part of your business. You're not doing this. Okay. You're managing it. Okay. And maybe you have a project manager that goes out to all your properties once a week or twice a week and make sure they're following through. Now you got to pay these people, but you're going to do that on a 1099. You're not going to bring them in as an employee. Hopefully it gets a little complicated that way. I like to do it on a 1099 basis. So what I want to do now is we're at the bottom of the hour. It's 9:30. What questions do you as investors have that I can help out regarding flipping homes and any of the processes we talked about? Because I just said we went through a whole bunch of stuff here because a lot of it we've done previously. What can I help you with regarding flipping homes at this point in time? Are there any questions? All you have to do is unmute and you can talk. And it's okay if there's no questions, it's no big deal. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Pamela.
Hi. My question as a new investor is, I'm trying to get past being frozen at the point of pulling the trigger on a deal. Even when I've done, my husband and I have done an analysis. Okay, this might be a good flip. It's like, I guess how to figure out the defining point of whether or not this is going to be a worthwhile flip. And I will say that I'm also a licensed agent. So I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it with too many different eyes so that I can't see that, you know what I'm saying? I can't really see it just as an investor. So if you have any advice on that.
I do actually. And that's commonly referred to, Pamela, as paralysis through analysis.
Okay.
Right? You've got all this book sense, you've got all this energy, you've got all of this resources that you've pulled to bear, and you're ready to go, but you just can't stand up and run into that game because you're afraid a 300-pound lineman's just going to level you when you walk on the field, right?
Right.
That's normal. That's normal. And what I love about what we're doing here is I don't care if you're talking to Grant Cardone or you're talking to me or you're talking to you. Everybody's had their first deal. We all did. We didn't all come in having 500 deals under our belt. We all had our first deal, right? And depending on your nature, you're either scared or you're terrified or you basically were just stupid and got into it. Because if you're not scared a little bit, then there's something wrong. You can be confident and a little scared. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't be scared and confident. You can. So part of what you're referring to then, Pamela, is confidence, right? Is understanding that you can do this, that you have a network of people around you that can help. But in order to do that, you need to make sure the deal is actually a deal. A lot of people use the term deal interchangeably with opportunity. So you may have an opportunity, but is it truly a deal? So what we're going to do, if you don't mind, Pamela, I want to use your opportunity as kind of a model here. And we're going to go through this on paper and find out if this truly is a deal. Okay. I'm not going to ask you for your address because I don't know if you want to share that or not, but we're going to talk about numbers if you're comfortable with that. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So are you in Atlanta or are you in another metro area?
I'm in Atlanta.
Okay. Are you in the city or a metro area?
Actually in Kennesaw.
Kennesaw. Okay. So for those that aren't from this area, Kennesaw is a northern suburb of Atlanta up the I-75 corridor. For the most part, it's white collar, blue collar, middle income, progressive movement of everybody's moving kind of north a little bit. But it's a good area of Atlanta for the most part. I mean, every little town's got the other side of the tracks, but for the most part, Kennesaw is a good area to be investing in. I'm assuming this is a single family home?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the property, bedroom, bathrooms, all that stuff.
Okay. It's a single family ranch, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay.
Small yard, front, back, a little bit slope, but it's a regular, well, I won't say regular, I'll say typical um, residential neighborhood in Cobb County. Nothing
Okay,
fabulous about it, but it's actually it's close to downtown Ackworth.
okay. So let me take this just a little bit further. So what I
Okay.
want to know when I analyze a house, I
Okay.
want to find out what the comps are. Okay. So
Okay.
3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch, garage or no garage?
Garage, two-car
Two car,
garage,
1 car,
two-car.
2 car. Okay. How many square feet is the house?
It is 1960.
And what year was the house built?
Right, hold on, let me thumb through. 1980, 1989.
Okay. So this is Kennesaw. This is a split level, right?
No, it's not split level, ranch.
It is split level. Oh, you said ranch, right?
Ranch,
Okay. Is it a brick ranch?
no.
No. Okay. Are you comfortable sharing the address on this platform?
No.
Pamela?
Did you hear me?
No, I didn't.
No, I don't want to share the address. Sorry.
Okay. I was going to pull a comp if you wanted to do that. Okay. So you're a real estate agent. You've got access to the FMLS. I'm assuming since you are an agent, you know what you're talking about. What are the ARVs of that property? Similar homes in that neighborhood within a half-mile radius.
Between 215 and the highest we've seen is 275.
Okay. For the sake of our argument, we're going to use, let's just call it 245.
Okay.
That's going to be our median, our median. Okay.
Okay.
And part of what we're going to do here, Pamela, is we're going to look at this conservatively, right? A lot of people say, oh, 275, that's my ARV. We're going with 275. What if you don't get 275, right?
Right.
So
right.
What if it works at 245? Now 275 is even better, right?
Right.
Okay. Now we don't want to say, oh, it's only worth 200 because I want to be that conservative. You might not get the deal. Then it might not even work because it's too low. So we're going to use 245. You might get more than that. I don't know what it looks like. And I respect the fact that you don't want to share that on this platform. It's totally fine. You can probably figure all that out. So the analysis of this is going to be very simple. So if you got a pen and paper, write this down. This is the mathematical formula for determining whether the deal is good or not.
Okay, great.
So your ARV is 245, correct? Okay, so 245. What we're going to do right out of the gate is we're going to subtract 25%. So 245 minus 25%. We're now getting a number of 183,750.
Okay.
Okay. Now, have you established what your rehab budget is going to be?
No, my husband, well, I'll say this. He's more of the person you described that's just ready to run into it. So for him, the rehab budget is not like hard and fast. It's like, oh yeah, we can do it. They've got good comps. And I can't, so we haven't been able to get past that point when I'm trying to be realistic. We've looked at an estimator tool, but he's more of, it's a great area. It's in Cobb County. You can't go wrong. So we get stuck right there.
Yeah, and that's smart to get stuck there because that's
Yeah.
not the way you want to approach this.
Right.
If you approach it that way, you will go wrong. I'm telling you now. You'll find something that's wrong with it and it'll throw you upside down. So you've got to be able to analyze every deal and either be able to walk away from it or go forward knowing that you will be good, not hoping you'll be good. Okay.
Right.
If the market shifts a little bit, if you find termites, if there's a crack in the foundation you didn't see, the whole deal is outside of the equation at this point. So you got to go through this. You've not done a flip before?
No, we have not.
Okay. The key here is to understand what the rehab budget is going to be. Okay. Now, is this a cosmetic rehab? Meaning, hey, all we're doing is changing out the flooring and the lights and the paint and the, new kitchen cabinets, countertops, bathroom fixtures, and we're done?
Yes, it's cosmetic.
So does it need a new roof? Does it need new air conditioning systems? Does it
No, it
have
doesn't.
termites? Is it on septic? Is it on sewer? What are the things we got to look at here? Is it on sewer?
Public sewer.
Public sewer,
Uh,
that's good. Okay.
Yep.
Um,
Roof is good.
how old how old are
HVAC
the pipes? So I'm not asking you for answers to these questions.
Yeah.
These are kind of rhetorical. Houses that old might have cast iron pipes. If they are, they need to be changed. On a house that size, changing cast iron pipes out on a slab could cost you anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000, $15,000. Okay. But
Is
if
that
they have,
something you, oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, the situation with the pipes, is that something that you would do automatically or only if your inspector points out that, you've got an issue, you need to do this now?
Why do you have an inspector on a cosmetic rehab?
Well, I had one just because we have those issues where I like to have questions answered ahead of time.
You mean an
So
appraiser?
no, I mean an inspector.
Oh, you hired it. Okay.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about an inspector, I'm talking about permits and things like that. You're talking about, you just hired a guy to come out and do an inspection of the property.
Yes. Looking
Gotcha.
for those hidden things that I can't see.
And
So
he gave you a report on that already?
no, not yet.
Okay.
And my husband didn't want to have it done, but I insisted. So it's like we're butting heads with these things where, I'm like, I don't want to just, I just rather know so that we know how to deal with, where he's like, it's, we're never going to get a deal, if you keep doing this. So.
Well, I agree with him and I disagree with him. Okay. And here's why.
Yeah.
You will get a deal if you keep doing this, because what you're going to find is if you're patient, because right now you're hungry, right? You're hungry.
Right.
So you're going to eat scraps thrown on the ground. You're going to pick up meat off the floor and eat it. You got to be careful you don't get sick, right? So you got to balance that, right? So
right.
You'll get good at this eventually, that you won't need to hire an inspector. I do all of my own inspections. Okay.
Okay.
If I see something that's like, I don't know what that is, then I'll hire a professional to come in, maybe a foundation issue, right? But think about what an inspector does. I'm not taking anything away from inspectors, but they only see what you can see. They're trained in areas that you're never going to be trained in unless you take the training. There is value there. But for the most part, what you're going to do is you're going to know this property's got problems. Okay. It does cosmetically, and you're going to uncover some minor things that you may not have seen once you open the walls. But what you need to get good at is understanding that there's not going to be a major problem that you didn't see, that maybe an inspector who's trained would see that. Okay. So in this case, since you've never done anything, I recommend that you do hire an inspector. Okay. They're going to and focus on things that you can't easily see. Condition of the air conditioners, roof, flooring, meaning the subfloor. Is there a crack in the foundation? Is this on a crawl space or on a slab? Those kind of things. Look at this whole thing and then bring, do you know anybody in the industry that's an investor?
My husband does. He actually went through an investment, like what do you call it? A fortune building.
He went to fortune builders. Okay.
Well, he did. I didn't. So I don't, I don't have that perspective because I don't, so I don't know what he learned in the class, but I know he has, he's had meetings and he's gone on walk-alongs with different people from his group.
Gotcha. Okay. So Fortune Builders has some great information. I work with a lot of people in the Fortune Builders community. Just like anything, there's some great folks that have really grasped the concept and there's others that struggle. Right. The fact is, you've got resources at your feet. I strongly suggest that you bring somebody in that's done a flip, that can walk you through what they think the costs of that rehab are going to be.
Okay.
Maybe 2 people. Take them to lunch, pick their brains, say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to walk through this with you. I want you to write down what you think. I'm going to write down what I think. And let's walk out of the house. We'll go to lunch and we'll compare notes. And I'm going to tell you that the rehab is 40,000 and you're going to tell me it's 55,000 or 70,000 or 100,000. I don't know.
Okay.
And I want to see where I am compared to you that's done this. And you're going to give me a budget. I'll buy you lunch and we'll talk about it. And maybe when I'm done, I'll kick you $500 or something at the end, whatever. But that's important. You need to know what that rehab is going to be. Don't be so proud to ask, because it'll cost you money if you don't. And believe me, if your husband took Fortune Builders, I know the mentality of these people. They want to help. They're usually good, intelligent people, and they want to help. You will find somebody that's willing to do that. Okay.
Right.
I've got a lot of respect for the people in that industry that have gone through that Fortune Builders program, because it does teach sound values. Okay. But use that group around you. Don't just dismiss it and say, I got the information, let's go. Use those people to help you, because eventually you're going to be able to help them, just like what I'm doing now. Okay. It's critical to understand what that rehab budget is. One of the reasons you're sitting on the bench is because you don't have that piece of information. You've got this concept of ARV is good, this looks awesome, let's go. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. There's 9 pieces of this puzzle, and we only got 4 of them. It just doesn't look right to me. That's what you're thinking, right?
Right.
So the biggest piece you're missing right now is the rehab budget, because as an agent, it sounds like you know what the rehab is going to be. So let's just say this is a cosmetic rehab. You got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,960 square foot home. You said the roof's in good shape?
Yes.
And you know that how?
I know it because the inspector, and I didn't see any indications on the inside that there was any roof leaks, and there was nothing that I could see from walking around the house that, there was no cracks in the soffits, there's no rotten pieces, there's no shingles that I could see. So.
Fair enough. Okay. So the math, let's talk about the math again.
Okay.
And so your husband should know this too, because this is math that he learned in Fortune Builders. So your ARV at 245 minus 25% is 183,750. Okay.
Yes.
Now you need to subtract your rehab budget. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's $50,000 on the rehab. Okay.
Yes.
So that puts you down at 133,750. Now, obviously, we don't know what the rehab budget is. What is your contract price on that house? What do you have it under contract for?
We put it on the contract at 230.
Okay. You're going to lose money on this deal, unless it's a very, very, very minor rehab.
Well, to us, it was using his estimator tool. It was a very minor cosmetic rehab. The house was not in bad shape at all.
Well, we'll put it this way. At 275, using the high end of the ARV you just gave me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Considering no rehab, just buying it as it is and selling it. Mm-hmm. Your contract should have been at 206 in order to do this properly. And here's why. Let's use 275 as your high end on your rehab. Okay. I mean, on your ARV. You're going to sell the house and you're going to pay real estate commissions. Now, you're probably going to keep 3. So most people aren't in the position you're in. So I'm going to take you out of the equation. Okay. But you're going to see how this would work. 275 minus 6%. Okay. You're 258.50. Okay. To close that house on the front end, it's going to cost you what? $3,500, $4,000, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. So $3,500 we'll call it. Now you're 255. Okay. Now, I'm assuming you have to do some work on it. I don't even know. So let's just call it $10,000, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So subtract $10,000. Okay. Now you're going to be holding that property for at least how many months do you think between the time you buy it and the time you go to the closing table and collect your money? Because keep in mind, once you're done with the rehab, if it goes under contract, it's probably going to take 30 days from that point to closing, right? So is it a 2-month rehab or a 3-month rehab? What is it?
Well, we added in 3 months, not for the length of time for the rehab, because it's a small rehab, but for the to allow closing time for the buyer.
Okay, so it's a 2-month rehab with closing. Mm-hmm. So 2-month rehab with closing. Okay, so you're going to be borrowing money to buy this house?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and what's your carrying costs on the house going to be?
Now, I don't have that in front of me. My husband actually has that. He did the numbers with his
Okay,
fortune builder
all right. Well, just to put that in
estimator
perspective,
tools.
you're how much are you borrowing? You borrowing all 230, or are you borrowing
No, we
90%?
didn't borrow. No, we didn't borrow all 230. No.
Okay, so if you're borrowing like $200,000, then your carrying costs are going to be around what, 1,400, 1,500 bucks?
I think maybe close to that. And
Okay,
I'm not certain. So
all right, plus insurance, plus water, plus taxes you're going to pay on the back end,
yes.
plus power. So let's just call it, $2,000 a month, right? So that's 3 months of holding costs. So minus another $6,000. Okay. So by doing that math, I'm at 239 now on a $10,000 rehab.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're buying it for 230.
Yes.
You're going to make $9,000 only if you sell it in 3 months. I mean, done with it. And you only put in $10,000 into this house.
Mhm.
And then you're going to pay taxes on that $9,000 of about 40%.
Right.
Is that worth it?
Not for me. Not for that loss of time. And like I said, this is where we're getting stuck because we've put several properties under contract and walked away because in the offer price, even in looking at the CMAs and offer, he's looking at with what the market is now, and everybody's paying way over asking price. And it's hard to rein in that enthusiasm. Like, we need to be more realistic.
Yep.
The bubble could burst at any time. And that's the thing when you've got, even though we're a couple, you've got two different people with different perspectives. So we've put several properties under contract, gotten to this point, and this is where we end up and we have to walk away.
So here's what I see is the issue on this property. And maybe it's the same issue on some of your other properties. And this is very common, Pamela, in this industry. This might not be something that I'm not saying you screwed up. I'm not trying to single you out here. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to share these numbers and learn. And because this is a common issue, as well as I see some very common mistakes. Okay. And you were wise to question these things. And I don't think your husband is being stupid by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's eager to go in, and I think he's got some training that gives him some reasonable assurance he'll probably be okay.
Right.
But you really need to understand some of what's going on. Okay. Keep in mind, I'm using your number of 275. I'm taking out 6%. You can make the argument that it would only be 3 because you're keeping 3. But
Right.
for most people, they take out 6%. And then I'm holding it for 3 months. And that includes 1 month of being done and just going through the buyer's process, right? So you got a 2-month rehab. And I'm only assuming $10,000. I've not even seen the house. So I don't even know what it looks like.
Right.
Okay. But I can pretty much tell you it's not going to be $10,000. I've never, ever, ever done a rehab for that little amount of money, unless it was literally brand new, like 2018 or 19. It just needed carpet and paint. Okay. So I highly doubt that it's going to be 10 grand. And at those numbers, you've only got $9,000 of profit. And that's, transaction costs, everything.
Right.
Okay. That rate of return is negligible. So you basically have a $9,000 rate of profit divided by 230. You're making less than 4% on your money. You could put that in a bank and make more than that. My point is, you need to be making 18% on this. Okay. In order for it to be a good deal. Can you make money? Yeah. Maybe you walk away with a couple of grand in your pocket. Okay. You made money, but is that the way you want to spend the $230,000 and 3 months of your time? That's the question.
Yeah. For me, no. And I think
Exactly.
that's why I made sure when I saw this, like, I need to go to this class. I need to go to this class.
Yes.
in an effort for us to get past this point.
No,
And
I'm
I
not
think,
saying, I'm not saying don't do the deal.
no, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying my question, my reason for really wanting to be on this particular class, in order for us as a couple, as new investors, to be able to get past this point, because I think based on what, like you said, based on the classes that he's taken, he has some understanding that he can't articulate to me. And for me, I don't pull the trigger if I can't understand it and I can't see it.
Okay. I've got about 4 minutes and I got to wrap up. I don't want to cut
Thank you.
Oh, I don't want to cut you short.
Okay. Thank
I've
you.
got another class. I've got
Uh-huh.
another class starting at 10. It's called the Georgia Super Group. You're welcome to come back in and we can finish that up. But in case you can't, this is a perfect example for those watching of common issues that we all run into. I ran into these issues. We're hungry. We want our first deal. We're taking things. We say 230 versus 275. There's money there. What you need to understand is that stuff in the middle. Okay. Transaction costs, holding costs, rehab costs. What's our actual profit? Okay. The model here is ARV minus 25% minus your rehab. And that's your acquisition price. Okay. So Pamela, understanding what that rehab is critical to knowing what your profit models are going to be. Okay. It's absolutely critical. So
Okay.
get somebody to go in there. I think you'll be surprised that it's going to be a lot more than $10,000. And I'm using the high end of your number, right? My approach would have been to use that 245 number. So I'm a little more conservative, right? So let's just take my number, the 245. Let's say, you know what? Let's use your 275 number. 275 minus 25% minus, and I'm just going to call it an average rehab, very low end, 30 grand. You need to be buying that house at 176.
Okay.
Okay. That's using the high end or ARV, and that's using a $30,000 rehab.
Right. Okay.
So you're $60,000, $55,000 off. Okay. And there's a reason you need to be like that. At $9,000 of the profit in that other model, you've got no room for any error.
Right.
And just carpet alone, I mean, flooring, you're going to be at $250 a square foot. 1,900 times 2.5, you're at $4,750 in rehab. That's half your rehab budget just for flooring. Your paint's going to be the same thing. So unless you're doing more than carpet and paint, I mean, painting is going to be about $1.85 a square foot.
Well, those were things that we didn't have to do. And maybe that's why I'm not really sure, other than him just, knowing more about this estimator tool than I do. But it wasn't a house that needed that. It was a single woman who was relocating out of state for work. So
Yeah.
she lived in the house alone. So it didn't need flooring. It didn't need countertops.
Okay.
It just needed light updates.
Sure.
So, but I'm glad that we did walk away, but I need to be able to explain to him what you just explained to me. Like, even though you see those large numbers, it's not necessarily going to be a deal where we make money. And so that's my struggle, is being able to take that and put it in a formula like, this is what you need to use. And we don't know this, so we just can't jump on it because everybody's paying over asking price.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that information.
You're welcome. I'm going to trail off here and wrap up.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate your input, Pamela. Please join us later if anybody else would like to do so too on the Georgia Super Group. My name is Carson Olinger. I'm with Capital City Equity Group here in Atlanta, and you can reach me at 678-478-2230. Thank you, Pamela, for joining us. Thank you for everybody here. I appreciate your input. I hope I answered some questions. Please join us again next month. We're at 9 o'clock. We're going to combine both the Georgia Super Group and the Walk the Flip. Carson Olinger, Capital City Equity Group, REI USA. Thanks for joining us. Take care.